Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're putting a magnifying glass to a really highly charged artifact of modern internet culture. We're looking at a viral reaction by YouTuber Nux Taku to a piece of political satire that was actually shared by Elon Musk. Now, just to be totally clear up front, we aren't here to take any political sides today. Our goal is just to objectively map out the arguments being presented. We want to understand exactly how modern political commentary is constructed, monetized, and then distributed across the internet.
Here is our agenda for this explainer. First, an introduction to the commentary. Second, Musk and the satire. Third, the progressivism versus fascism skit. Fourth, claims on modern antisemitism. Fifth, eugenics and social policies. And finally, the culture war and censorship.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Introduction to the Commentary. Right in the opening seconds of the source material, bam, the worldview is established instantly. The creator explicitly frames Elon Musk as a defender of Western civilization against what he actually terms a migration pandemic. He sets Musk up as a contrast to mainstream figures, and he explicitly labels his ideological opposition as the pro-rape left. So right out of the gate, we're seeing this incredibly stark existential binary being drawn for the audience.
But here is where high-stakes politics literally collides with internet commerce. Immediately after outlining this massive battle for civilization, the creator aggressively plugs a mobile gaming platform called Cashkick. He urges his viewers not to be broke, arguing that because the truth does not come for free, downloading this app is what actually funds his ability to speak without being demonetized on YouTube.
Moving right along to Section 2, Musk in the satire.
So what kicked this whole thing off? The catalyst is actually a 4-minute satirical skit originally produced by the Babylon Bee, which was then amplified by Elon Musk on his timeline. The premise here is deliberately provocative. It features a self-described progressive from 2025 who travels back in time to assassinate Adolf Hitler. It's a prime example of using comedy as a sort of Trojan horse for political messaging. And honestly, understanding its mechanics is absolutely crucial to how we process media today. Now, in this skit, instead of an assassination, they find this totally unexpected common ground. The time traveler states her goal: use the government to force people to follow our great ideas. To her absolute shock, the dictator enthusiastically agrees, yelling, "Me too, bro, besties!" The entire comedic framework hinges on drawing a deeply uncomfortable line between modern progressive goals and historical authoritarianism.
Which brings us to Section 3, Progressivism versus Fascism skit.
The skit systematically tries to equate modern policies with historical atrocities. For example, when the progressive talks about silencing dangerous ideas, the dictator parallels this directly with Nazi censorship. Progressive arguments for separate college dorms based on race, well, those are enthusiastically interpreted by the dictator as segregationist policies. And when socialized healthcare is touted, the dictator notes that National Socialist rolls right off the tongue. The creator, reacting to all this, finds these comparisons fundamentally true, basically asserting that modern socialists simply hate their own nations.
Next up, Section 4, Claims on Modern Antisemitism.
Inside the skit, the time traveler's desire to remove Zionists triggers a really passionate real-world tangent from the creator reacting to the video. He vehemently asserts that modern antisemitism is entirely a left-wing phenomenon. He states bluntly that all the Jew hate is on the left and goes as far as labeling them Hamas supporting.
To cement this worldview, the creator pulls in specific anecdotes. He recounts an HBO interview where he pushed back against claims of right-wing antisemitism by pointing to immediate real-world violence. Specifically, he cites recent stabbing and hammer attacks on Jewish individuals in New York City. He even boasts about Elon Musk liking his tweet, where he declared he felt safer around, and this is a direct quote, Hitler-hailing gropers than moderately leftist college students.
All right, Section 5, Eugenics and Social Policies.
Jumping back to the skit, it starts weaving historical flashpoints right into the comedy. A flare gun prompts a whole discussion on gun control, which the dictator claims was his idea for disarming undesirables. The creator emphatically agrees with this by citing the history of German Jews. The progressive's Margaret Sanger shirt is similarly flipped. Championed as reproductive rights by the time traveler, it's praised by the dictator as eugenics, claiming Hitler loves abortion. They even end up bonding over both being vegetarians.
And all of this builds to the skit's ultimate, highly provocative punchline.
Confused by their common ground, the progressive admires a painting and asks for its title. The dictator's response? I call it From the River to the Sea, baby. This explicitly ties the modern pro-Palestine chant directly to historical fascism. The reacting creator? He actually calls this comparison absolutely beautiful.
So, what does this all mean for us? How exactly does a creator synthesize a 4-minute comedy video into a broader existential worldview about modern society? Let's take a look at how this translates into his real-life philosophy.
That takes us to our final part, Section 6, Culture War and Censorship.
The creator lays out this apocalyptic binary, what he literally calls the Crusades versus the Jihad. He claims the political left is essentially going to destroy itself by castrating and grooming children, ultimately breeding yourself out of existence. Conversely, he asserts the right will simply survive, thrive, and peacefully outlive their opponents by raising a generation with shared values. But fighting a culture war requires funding. Complaining of being shadow banned and claiming his YouTube ad revenue is magically redirected to explicit LGBTQ content, the creator aggressively funnels his audience over to alternative platforms like Patreon, Rumble, and Kick. His stated, ironically humorous goal for all this financial support to surpass Ben Shapiro and become the top Jew. When you really step back and look at it, it's like a giant puzzle coming together. You see the perfect architecture of modern online political commentary. It's a potent blend. Polarizing satire created by a third party, amplified by a billionaire, reacted to with extreme hyperbole by a creator, and then immediately funneled into alternative monetization pipelines. It is a literal masterclass in building a self-sustaining ecosystem of outrage, comedy, and commerce.
Which leaves us with a pretty vital question to ponder. In an ecosystem where polarizing satire and extreme hyperbole are the primary drivers for audience engagement and monetization, how does this shape our ability to have objective political discourse? If the structure of the internet rewards this exact formula, what does that mean for the future of how we talk to each other? Think on that for a bit. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.